All right, so it's a week. I guess we're 9 days in. So 8 or 9 days, whatever, 216 ounces. And we are going to be grinding some more food for our experiment. Added any for about 4 or 5 days here. And of course, the one that was on soil has turned into soil. I did that after the first 3 days, really. And then this one here, it's been, as I say, about 8 days. Some of it's been about 4 days. Nice oily sheen on the top there, which is kind of interesting. You see algae beginning to grow in it, the green stuff. No smell, but it hasn't turned into soil yet, and that's obviously because it wasn't inoculated with any soil organisms, as far as I know. And I think it'll be curious to see what happens to this just ground up food waste that the rain has been pelting and pummeling, because it hasn't dried out yet. Nothing's discovered it, apparently. There's no insects, there's no paw prints, there's nothing, no roaches, nothing at all. Thank you, Enoch, for your comment. I hope you'll do this. I started doing this in Africa. My first tests with this were in Botswana and Kenya, and we did a little in Tanzania, but it was mostly Botswana where we first started the food grinding and just dumping. But if you dump it on soil, then you see it just turns into soil, despite all the rain. But now what we've been doing for the past couple of days is we've just been grinding into a bucket that has holes in the bottom so that we release the water and we get a kind of like food waste cake. Again, no flies, no smells, no roaches, really nothing, not even fruit flies, and we're putting a lot of fruit in. And that, I think, is testimony to the pH balancing that goes on when you grind. So let me turn on the grinder and let's do today's bit now that the rain has stopped. Let me just plug this in. And yeah, nothing happened. Oh, I know why. This in, gas stove, and hold on. Apologies for the bad. There we go. Now the food grinder's on, and here we go. Boy, is that spinning fast. All right, that's weird. That's weird. Hold on. Let's unplug it. Something went wrong. I wonder if it's because it's wet. Let's see, something jammed in there or something burn out. I've never heard this thing spin so fast. Yeah, it's jammed. Wait a minute. Let's see, I gotta get down here and unjam the grinder. So what got caught in there, I wonder? Something. All right, let's try that again. Plug it in. All right, we're back up and running. And in the water. And take our avocado chips. Save them if I like them. Everything else, let's just dump in. And let's get grinding. Avocado I like. And you can see it all be grinding up in there. I'm going to keep doing this until this bucket is completely full. Alright, let me unplug this. There we go. And let's see. I know it was sticking this thing. It was a piece of the mango pit, which we just dump over there. Alright, so there we go. It looks like there's a bug trying to get out that was actually caught somewhere. That poor little fella. Alright, so I don't really want to stay in. It's sort of weird. Okay, so we're going to let the water drain, and we'll see what happens after that. It's started getting clogged to the point where the water's not draining all that well because it's getting really filled and clogged up with food waste. That's fine. That's part of the experiment. But the idea here is what happens if you grind your food and just keep it in the bucket. Does it stink? Does it attract vermin? Is it a problem? Will it turn into soil? And I'll start another treatment next week where I have a bucket with holes at the bottom, but I will inoculate it with soil, and we'll see what happens with that, because my suspicion is that we need those microbes and fungi to finish it off. And my suspicion comes from this over here, where just ground up food waste that's been sitting for a week is just sitting there, not causing any problem to anybody, but now I see the algae beginning to get in there. And then the one that was on soil is just soil. So that's today's experiment, and we will continue every day figuring out the best way to deal with food waste. Of course, I believe the best way is to put it in your biodigester, and then you get a gas, and then you cook on your stove and heat water and run emergency generators. But some people don't have biodigesters, and so if they don't have a compost pile, simply grinding into a bucket, grinding onto other containers, or best of all, grinding and putting it right into the garden is the best, because that's what we've been doing over here. And grind and just put it onto the beans, as Bernard Nyawanga, a Kenyan farmer who's a student of mine here in Florida, he's pioneering just grinding the food and spilling it right by the beans and not using any of the fertilizer. And he's getting good growth over here where he just broadcast the food waste. You can see the food waste he laid down a few days ago beginning to turn into soil over here. So all seems to be working good. Grinding without composting is a definite possibility. I'm not saying that composting wouldn't improve it. It may indeed, but you don't need to. That's what we're seeking to prove here. All right, check back in with us later. Thanks.